Welcome to the Aaron Werner Podcast on iCode Media. I am really excited today. I've been excited for this day and looking forward to it for a long time because I welcome to our virtual studio my nephew, Jack. So say hi to everybody, Jack.
Hi guys, my name is Jack and I'm 10 years old. I like to play baseball a lot. I love books, which is, I think, the main reason why my Uncle Aaron here bought me this book, Soundtracks. I love it. It's a really good book, and what I also like to do is I like math, and yeah, so.
Cool. Well, Jack, I'm really excited for you to be here with us, and I know you're a little bit nervous, and it's totally cool. So we're just going to have a conversation, you and I, about the book, and I'm going to give you a little bit of insights. So a while ago, your mom, who's my younger sister, and we're pretty close, right?
Yes.
Your mom and I and your dad.
Yep.
And actually, your dad and I were best friends in college, and I wanted to always be able to hang out with my best friends. So I said, hey, you should date my sister, who's also one of my best friends. And then they got married, and they had you, and they had your brothers. So it's pretty cool, and I love that you guys live close to me. But your mom called me and said, hey, Aaron, I need some advice, because that's what adults do, is say, hey, we ask for help, we ask for advice. And she said, hey, you're the oldest child, and Jack, who's our oldest child, because you're the oldest, right?
Yep.
And she said, hey, Jack is a little frustrated right now. He's being frustrated for being the oldest brother, because that sometimes is annoying. And schools being school and their sports, just said, what advice do you have? And I said, well, I just read a really cool book that I think is a fantastic book, and it's kind of for adults, but I think Jack will understand it. And so the book was Soundtracks, and so I bought a book for you and wrote a little message on the inside and sent it to you. And I've had a lot of fun while you've been reading it, calling me and talking about different things that you've thought about the book and asked me different questions or shared different insights. And that's why we wanted to just jump on and record our conversation, because we've had some really good ones.
Yeah, I've read this book so many times and I just love it. Thank you for sending it to me. What are some notes you took from the book?
Yep, some notes I took from the book. So what I liked about the book and what connected me right away was when Jon starts talking about overthinking. And I'm a thinker. My brain is always thinking. It never shuts off. Sometimes
Same with me.
Same with you. I wake up in the middle of the night with thoughts in my head. And sometimes those thoughts, just like Jon shared about himself, weren't focused on positive. It was talking about I would self-talk. I would talk to myself about, what happens if everything goes wrong, or what happens if, right? I'm at a friend's house and everybody's singing karaoke and I sing karaoke and I'm going to sound silly and I'm going to sound dumb and everyone's going to laugh at me and it's going to be horrible. So all these little voices in my head were talking to me, but they weren't always positive. Does that ever happen to you?
Yes, sometimes when I always think, most of the time, that the kids in my class will think I'm weird and different in a way I probably won't like it, just because I like reading books. But when Jon started talking about how to, if those kids in my class who didn't they thought I was weird, if those guys were the voices in my head, I learned how to shut them off. That way, whenever my overthinking gets loud, like, Jack, everybody's going to think you're a nerd for reading books. Jack, nobody's going to like you because you're reading a book your uncle sent you. I just shut those off right away. I don't care how many people hate me. If I just read a book, I just love it. I love learning what Jon just taught me. It's great. You don't find many people like that.
Nope, you find good people, and pursuing what you like to do is important, and reading is a very good skill. It's how I like to help make myself better by reading books like this. So let's let's jump into some of the things that that you learned from the book. And so I'm going to ask you, Jack, what was the thing that you liked best overall about the whole book?
Overall, I love the fact that Jon was constantly pushing me up when my balloon kept falling down. It was great that he kept giving me positive and helpful notes. And when I always use those things that he taught me, I always felt great afterward. It encouraged me to do more, and it encouraged me to use more of those notes he gave me. Because when I first used one of his feel-good things, and it worked out, I thought to myself, if one works, why not another? So I kept using more and more positive notes and stuff like that to just keep me going forward.
Good. What was one of the specific notes or soundtracks that you took from the book that had a positive influence on you?
One I have had my mind on for days is "Winning is Contagious." When I help others win, I win too. That one is from the new anthem, and I like it because what I think it tells me is that it is encouraging me to help others feel good as well, because then I will also feel good.
I like that. And I really like how you took that and projected it into helping others, because some people hear winning is contagious and they just mean for themselves. But I like how you talked about helping others in that. So cool. And you've seen that in baseball, I'm sure, haven't you?
I have a lot, yes.
On your team this year? Tell me about that.
Do you mean like winning is contagious, that part?
Yeah, like how because baseball is at least when I played baseball, for me it was tough because sometimes I'd get a hit and then maybe the next couple times up to bat I would strike out. And I felt really bad, or I thought maybe I can't do this. Or
there's a few things.
Slumps. So how do you use that for your baseball?
How I use my thoughts in baseball, I think they are very powerful. So it is very, after I get a great hit and then I strike out afterward, then I will not feel my best because I know I can do better, but I didn't, so it will tell me not to do that anymore, and it'll get me in a bad mood. So it's just annoying sometimes, and I love this book for another reason, because it constantly is helping me. When I strike out, I'll use one of his good soundtracks, and I'll always get off the ground with that.
Cool. So let's talk about that, because I know that, like I said, you're a really good baseball player, but sometimes you strike out. Even the best baseball players strike out. Right?
Yep.
So when after you strike out, let's say your first at bat at the game, you struck out, and now you're up at bat again, right? Later in the game, what soundtracks do you have in your head? What are you telling yourself as you're walking up to the plate for that second time?
My coach is always saying positive things to us. And one of those is that when I am up to bat, I am the best batter on the field.
Oh.
Because you are the only batter on the field, you have to be the best. And when you're the best, you just are the best. So when I'm at bat, after I struck out, I'll tell myself, I am the best batter on this field. I'm the best player on this field. And I will get a great hit. Because it is telling me that I will. If I do it, it's telling me I will. And I like that because it's kind of like it's already giving me the heads up you're going to get a good hit. So.
Okay. So no, I think that's really important that you tell yourself all those really positive things and remind yourself that you're the best player on the field and that you're going to get a hit. I love that. And what I really like too is that you said that you're going to get a hit, not that you're going to hit a home run. Right?
Yes.
So you're focusing on what you're going to do. Now that said, you've hit not just one home run this season. How many home runs have you hit?
2 out of the
Two
park.
home runs.
Yes.
2 out of the park home runs. That is awesome. And do you have your home run balls? Let's see those.
I have indeed. I do have them. Here is my first home run ball.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I am on the Trojans. That is when I hit this first home run. April 20th, 2024, I hit this ball at Heroes Park.
Very cool. You've got that memorized or memorialized in there? You've got it written on the ball?
Yeah, I've got it written on the ball right there.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I always keep my special baseballs with me because even when I strike out and I look at those balls, it shows me that the progress I have done in the past, and it's kind of telling me that I should keep doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Jon talks about that in the book. Do you remember what he calls those?
Symbols? The symbols?
Yeah,
Yes, the
good
symbols.
Job. Remember when he talks about symbols?
Yeah, the
Nicely
symbols.
done. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a good symbol to have, the baseballs, to remember that, to remind you of your success and what you can do. Is that your second one?
This is my first one still.
That's your first one?
Yeah. When I hit this baseball, it encouraged me to hit another one. And when I stopped, after I didn't hit that another home run, I got a little down, but then I remembered how that those two, and it kind of reminded me that I will hit more.
Yep. I like that. It proves that it's showing you not only as a symbol, right, to remind you, but it also is proof, right? It's showing you proof that when you tell yourself, hey, I can do this, I'm the best hitter on the field. Well, there's my proof, right? I got 2 home run balls. That's pretty cool, buddy.
This is my second home run ball.
Nice. When was that?
A week later, on the 27th April. Mm-hmm. And what I really like about this baseball is that not only did I hit it over the fence and onto the other field behind it, but I also smacked the crap out of it, a black mark, and now my baseball bat has a white mark on it.
You got a scuff mark on your bat from your home run ball.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, so symbols are important. Do you remember why Jon talked about having symbols?
Because his symbol is a silver coin. Mm-hmm. So he wants to keep doing it so he can get more silver coins. Yep. And I like my symbol because it is every time I hit a home run and I get the baseball that I hit it with, I want to do more. Yep. So I think symbols are important for encouraging and keep going.
Yep. I like that. Well, I have 2 symbols that I want to, 3 really, that I would like to share with you. So one, because I travel a lot, I always like to get a Starbucks coffee cup from wherever I go, a mug. So this one was from Colorado. So it reminds me of all the cool places that I've been to. And then I have one that this was a coin, and Jon likes coins, but this is a different coin. This is a coin. It has on the front of it, it was from a young man who worked in my office for a little bit. There's the back of it. And then he went on to fly helicopters in the Navy.
Oh, that is really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so he wasn't sure where he wanted to go. He didn't know if he wanted to go be an optometrist like me or if he wanted to do different things. And so he spent some time working in the office, and his name's George. He's super cool. And then he went to officer school and then Navy pilot school. And he gave me this coin from his class because he said that I helped inspire him and motivate him and was a mentor of his along the way. And so that I keep that to remind me of how much I love to help other people just get to where they want to go, right? And be better versions of themselves and achieve their dreams. And then my last symbol is on my computer, but I can't show you because it's up on the wall, but it's a picture of Calvin and Hobbes riding a wagon down a hill, because it just reminds me to have fun, and it reminds me of your Uncle Nick, because he and I, when we were little, used to do silly, stupid things like that.
That reminds me of the winning is contagious, because you helped him, you encouraged him to get that far.
Yep. So we help motivate and encourage each other, right? And it's important that we help and motivate our friends and each other. And I know you're really, really good at doing that. Same with your brothers most of the time, because sometimes they're annoying, right? Sometimes, yeah. No. But one of the cool quotes that I remember highlighting from the book was from David Goggins, and he is Navy SEAL, and he does all sorts of like crazy running things, and he just is super athletic and a little bit crazy on that.
Isn't what he said is the most important talks you'll have in your life is the ones you have with yourself?
Amazing. I was looking that up to repeat it, and you remembered it. Yes. Right. So we motivate other people, but the most important conversations that we need to have are with who?
Ourselves.
With ourselves, right?
Because if we can't talk to ourselves and control ourselves, we will be running wild.
We would be, right? Or we'll make ourselves feel super bad, right? Because we talk bad about ourselves, and things that we would never say to anybody else, sometimes we say to ourselves, and that's not very nice.
Not at all, yeah. Not nice at all.
So do you remember when Jon talked about the overthinking and the negative soundtracks? Because we all have soundtracks.
We all have soundtracks.
Sometimes they're bad.
Sometimes people don't call them exactly soundtracks. Sometimes they'll call them just mental thinking, stuff like that, and they want to quit it. Yeah. So
cool. So when he talked about, when we change the soundtracks, or we change our self-talk, what we talk to ourselves, do you remember the 3 questions he taught us to ask to make sure that the new soundtrack is a good one?
Yes. Is it kind? Mm-hmm. Is it helpful? Mm-hmm. And
you're doing a good job, because I've got my notes here, so I'm checking. So, all right. Is it true?
Yeah. Oh, is
it
true?
And is it kind?
Yeah.
Right. And I like that, because when sometimes we tell ourselves stuff that's not true, right? Like, I'm dumb. Well, that's not true. I'm not dumb. Right?
No, you're not.
I went to lots of school, but sometimes I'll think that to myself. Or you may think like, I can't hit a baseball. Like, that's not true, because you've hit a baseball. You've hit 2 home runs.
Yeah. I wouldn't, if you're calling yourself dumb, like let's say you answer a question wrong, don't say you're dumb, just say that you don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Because don't say you're dumb, because you might know something somebody else might not know.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
so
you want to flip it around. So.
You want to flip. Yep. If you have a bad soundtrack, what I like to do is flip it around. I always thought of being a big brother as a hard disadvantage, because you're kind of just going after them all the time, sometimes cleaning up after them, and I always thought it's very hard. After I read that book, and once I got to the chapter, don't fight it, flip it. So instead of it being a disadvantage, I thought of it as an advantage. So how I did it was, when I flipped it, I thought of it as an advantage of me showing them how to act and how to do all of that other stuff. Mm-hmm. And when I did that, it made me not only stop thinking that it was a disadvantage, it also felt really good afterward, because that was one less worry I had to have.
I like that. Yep. So you flip your little brothers being annoying into, you get to be a role model, and you get to be a mentor for them. And then when you help them learn something new or do something right, it feels good, right?
It does feel good. I like the feeling after success because I always think after I do it, it will always encourage me to do more. I like encouraging myself to keep going. Some people do not, but I'm one of the people who do.
You do? Yep.
Yes.
So let me ask you this then, because it's not always easy to encourage yourself to keep going, even if you're as positive as you are, right? Some days are just rough. Your teacher, right, gives you lots of homework, or maybe they call on you and you don't know the right answer, and so then you feel silly in front of your classmates.
Yes.
Maybe you're in a baseball slump, right? Maybe one of your brothers is just being super extra annoying, because that can happen.
Yes.
Right? Maybe your mom's being annoying, right? Maybe your
Yeah.
dad's annoying, right? Sometimes that just happens. So when you are struggling with just one of those days, how do you, what soundtracks have you started putting in your head to try to turn things around?
Things I do to get myself not annoyed or stuff like that. Sometimes I'll read a book because it always seems to get my attention off other stuff, because I am such a good reader by now that it makes me feel like I'm in the book, so I feel like I don't have to have any of those other worries that are behind me. Sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll take a nap, because I don't take naps often because I cannot sleep, but
Because you're a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah.
10-year-old boys don't like naps.
Yeah,
44-year-old men do.
Yeah. Sometimes if I'm really tired and I'm annoyed, I'll take a nap. And sometimes...
What do you say to yourself?
What do I say to me?
Yeah, what do you say to yourself? Like when those days when you're just like, gosh, nothing's going my way, like nothing's right. And John talks about the pocket jury, or I call them like the little voices in my head, right? The little devil on your shoulder that's just saying, you're no good, you can't do anything, everybody's out to get you, right? Have you found a soundtrack that you say to yourself that tries to help pull you out of that?
Have I? Sometimes it just pops out of nowhere and I don't realize it. Sometimes I'll find something to tell myself that is encouraging, but it's not always. It's really hard sometimes, actually.
It's very hard sometimes. That's why John wrote a book to try to help lots of people.
He did indeed.
The Myopia Collective. Cooper Vision and the AOA have partnered in a groundbreaking initiative to change the way optometrists in the U.S. treat children with myopia. The purpose of the Myopia Collective is to rally the profession of optometry and its allies to interrupt the status quo and elevate the new standard of care for children with myopia. Every individual is encouraged to become a member of the collective. By joining, you commit to taking action to help slow the progression of myopia in children. You'll receive updates and information about the collective and its work in the fight against myopia, gain access to educational opportunities and resources offered by the collective, and hear from change agents, the ambassador optometrists selected to serve as advocates for community and policy change that facilitates the mission of the collective. Scan the QR code or click on the link in the show notes to join the collective today. In the past, our focus revolved around prescribing MacuHealth or MacuHealth Plus to patients at risk of macular degeneration, while also recommending it to collegiate and professional athletes for enhanced contrast sensitivity in sports performance. However, this year's introduction of the Life Meter has been a game changer. The Life Meter revealed a concerning truth. Many of my patients have alarmingly low skin carotenoid levels, indicating potential deficiencies in essential body tissues like the retina and brain. Supported by over 30 peer-reviewed publications, Life Meter's accuracy, consistency, and effectiveness has been demonstrated across 2,000 subjects with diverse backgrounds. With this newfound insight, I can now have meaningful conversations about carotenoid levels with all of my patients, even those who may seem outwardly healthy. To learn more about this empowering technology, feel free to contact your MacuHealth representative or click on the link in the show notes. Together, let's optimize patient care and elevate their well-being. When I tell myself when things are bad, it feels like that, is I say, I tell myself, I've done hard things. I can survive anything.
Yeah,
So
but that goes back to the is it true, is it kind, and is it helpful? I thought when you said that, my mind went to, is it true? I've survived tough things. I can understand that. But I can survive anything. I don't like anything that isn't true because I think that it seemed just a little off. Because if I've had a rough day and I'm just and I stop reading that book for a little while, is it true? I wouldn't say so. Like it can be for you, but in my perspective, I just don't think that it would be for me.
Okay. Well, let's try to modify it for you because everybody's soundtracks are just for themselves,
Yes.
right? And that's super important too. So I think the first part we agree with, right? I've done hard things. Have you done hard things?
I've done very hard things, yes.
Very hard things, right? I have too, so that's true. And then, so I can survive anything, but maybe for you, you can say something like, I can survive this, right? Which is true,
yes.
right? You can survive this.
That is true, that is helpful, and that is kind, yes.
It is kind, yep. So cool.
Every time I make a new soundtrack, well, sometimes if I have the time and energy to go through it, I'll ask myself those 3 questions.
Yep. Those are really good questions too, because it helps to get us out of a kind of a spiral funk, right? When we're just being negative.
Yes. When my negative thoughts get way too loud, which happens sometimes pretty often, I will go for blame.
Tell me about that.
Okay, the most common one, or recent one I should say, was I was at my baseball game on Monday. Yeah, Monday. The umpire he had the tiniest strike zone.
Oh, that's tough.
And yeah, and our pitchers tried so hard, but they could not stand him. So, since we lost against the game, somehow we lost because it seemed as if the other team actually liked the ump, and I didn't. So I started to blame the ump for us losing, and then I told myself we didn't beat us. They didn't beat us. We beat ourselves because we beat ourselves. We weren't since the first inning, and how we saw the umpire was doing. We got mad and started just not doing our best. We got mad and we started blaming, and I will admit, yes, I would admit that my team started a chant like, "Ump, you suck." It was very negative. Yeah. Like, "Ump, you suck. Ump, you suck." Yeah. So.
Yeah, I won't tell your mom and dad that you just said that, by the way.
They know. Well, at least my mom knows. I don't know about my dad, but yeah. So I started telling myself, is it true? Yes. Is it kind? Not exactly, no. Is it helpful? Well, it is not helpful to the ump, but it might help our team feel better about them losing for a various amount of time. Yeah. But once they get deeper in realizing that stuff, they'll know it was actually their fault because they took the blame. And when I blame myself or anybody else, I don't like it because usually blaming means negativity, and negativity is exactly what overthinking wants.
Yep. So what I heard you say right there, and I really like it, is that, and it, by the way, this happens all the time to adults too, right? So we'll be in situations and we'll be upset that something is happening to us, right? That it's almost like we're a victim, kind of like in a baseball game where
Yes.
you feel like the ump is out to get you, right? We may feel like, a business is out to get us, or the tax people are out to get us, or,
Yeah.
our customers are out to get us, or lots of different things. Sometimes we feel like it's out of our control. And what I like about what you walked us through is that you didn't blame yourself, but you took responsibility and you said, hey, the other team's not beating us. The ump's not beating us. We're beating us. We're just not performing at our best today. And that's okay to recognize.
Yes.
And you're never going to be the best every day.
Something I just realized a few days ago was that I realized I had a negative soundtrack with this book. When you sent me this, I got really nervous because you were encouraging me to write in the book, which I had never done before because I haven't gotten a book like this before. Yep. So, when I finally wrote in it, I realized that I thought to myself, by the time I'm done with this book, the entire book is just going to be covered in ink. This is not what I should be doing. And so I turned that around to start saying, I will start writing in this book. I will start doing this. And yep. I made sure that everything I liked, everything I did in this book was just, I wrote it down. I circled it, and I got a few of my writing here. I still got a lot to go. I've read the book already, but sometimes I'll just write it down, not circling it in the book. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was so I don't know if that's a negative soundtrack, because but it's something that,
I think it was negative. I think it was negative to myself.
Yeah, you had to overcome that. That was tough to overcome.
Because
and that makes sense.
I had never done it before, and I was telling myself that it was bad. I shouldn't be doing it. But when I finally started getting used to it, I realized that I could do it. So it started getting myself to. It was encouraging me to do it.
Yep, so you're trying new things. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense that you're not used to writing in books, because the books you get from school right, are loaned to you, so you can't write in those. And then I know you get lots of books from the library, and you can't write in those. So writing in a book, you're taught not to. But I'm glad that you took my challenge and wrote in your book and highlighted your book, even though it felt really weird at first.
Yes.
So I like doing that because it feels like I'm having a conversation with the author. And,
yeah.
In fact, one of the things I was just flipping through right now, and you talked about a little bit about when things are negative, what you do to change. Jon talks about those as turn down techniques. So you turn down the volume of the negative soundtrack.
Yes. He spent, was it 13 or 7 years? What was it?
You'll have to remind me, 13 or 7 years what?
I don't know. I think it was probably 7 years. He was actually no, it was 13. He spent 13 years overthinking and trying to find a switch that if we found the switch, we could just turn it off and all of our overthinking would be off. But when he found it with a dial, then I really got, I got surprised because at that point of the book, it seemed like he had actually found the switch.
You were excited. You were ready for the switch. You were ready for the secret.
Yeah, but when I saw the 50 turn down techniques, I saw that I couldn't do all of them, but I could do some of them, and I started doing that, and I realized that it was really calm, most of them, and I just loved the idea.
Yep. What are some of the turn down techniques that you did from his list, or that you do now?
With my parents' permission, I lit a candle because I like this. I love the smell of the ones I have at my house.
Cool.
And that one was really calming. It got my mind off of it for a decent hour.
Nice. Was that the surf wax one that your dad likes?
No, it was wooden wick.
Wooden wick? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
And another turn down technique was, I liked number 51, which was stop lying.
Yeah.
Because when you're lying to yourself, you're technically just giving overthinking the opportunity to keep doing what it has been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like it because it makes me feel like it's winning. I don't like when overthinking wins because then it is getting in the way of my life.
Yep. I like
And
that. That's that competitive side. So I
yeah.
wrote down some of the ones that I do. That's funny you said you like to light a candle because I like to light candles too, but I also like to make candles.
You make candles?
I know. I don't know if I ever told you that.
Wow.
So maybe we'll have to have a candle making party. I set up the
That's
whole
cool.
kitchen gets destroyed, but I make candles.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I started doing. He said one of them was just stop and do 10 push-ups, and so
Yeah, 10
I'll
push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 jumping jacks.
just do some real quick activities. Yep. You know, one that I added on here, my 51 before I was reading. I'll even show you. So I wrote 51 at the bottom right there. It says call Jack, Sam, and Luke.
No way.
Yes way, because you guys make me laugh, and so even before I sent you the book, this was one of my things that I did because I like calling you guys because you're silly and you make me laugh.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The 50 turn down techniques were really helpful for me, and I liked them a lot.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Well, Jack, we're wrapping up and getting kind of close to the end. So what I'm curious, because sometimes 10-year-olds are a lot smarter and more wise than old people like me, right? Because I think too much.
44 is not old.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But what advice, so having read this book, if you were going to talk to somebody who's 10 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 100, what is one thing that you would tell them from this book that you think would help them just have a happier life?
I would say that it will help you stop your overthinking, and it will give you a lot of great tips for the future.
For the future? So give me, what's one new soundtrack that you think that would be good for me? If somebody said, hey, what's a good soundtrack for me to start with? A positive one. What would be a good one?
I think a positive soundtrack to tell them probably be, if they're just starting, then I would probably say perfectionism will throw you off the track, because if you're just starting, then you want to make the perfect soundtrack that will always help you in every situation. But if you try to be perfect, and then that one time that one little nudge that throws you off, it won't feel good because you've got a current perfection streak, and when you stop, it doesn't feel good.
Yep. Nope, that's a good one, right? So
yeah,
just do a little bit. My friend Gian, who works with Jon, I was talking with Gian the other day, and he told me one that I really like that sounds like this, where it just says, some beats none, right? You don't have to be perfect, you just have to do a little bit.
Some beats none.
Some beats none. So maybe you wanted to run a mile today, but you just weren't feeling it. So instead you went out for a walk, right? You did something. You did a little bit of it. Maybe you wanted to do 100 push-ups, but you were only able to get to 25, right?
Yeah.
You did some. That's pretty cool.
Have you done the new anthem?
The new anthem. Tell me about the new anthem.
The new anthem is a list or a series of positive things you tell yourself for 30 days to help you improve your activities and decrease your overthinking.
Yeah. So when you're talking about when you tell yourself the soundtrack, like every morning and every night when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, have you done it?
I have not, only because I am trying to make my own.
You want to make your own? Well, don't let perfect get in the way. Don't let perfect derail you. Right?
I won't. Yeah. It's taking a while because I just started a few weeks ago, and I'm trying to find the ones that will help me in most, not all, because I don't want it to be perfect. I have my list right here.
Let's hear let's hear the list you're working
on. My number one is I get to have boundaries, and what I think that meant is that the boundaries of my goal don't have to be like the boundaries of my goals don't have to be exact. So if my goal is to hit 5 home runs this year, then 5 will be my boundary, because I don't want to push myself to keep going, because when I don't push myself, then I feel like it does not work out the same.
Okay. So you try not. So you don't want to set unrealistic expectations for yourself.
Yes.
Yep. So I like that. I want to hit 5 home runs this year. Right.
Yep.
That's doable.
Number 2 was I changed the wording from "don't fight it, flip it." I put "I will flip my problems," because, like I said, being the oldest is pretty tough. So when I flipped that, it made me look at an entirely new perspective.
I like that. So I flip my problems. I like that one. So I have a list of ones that I keep in my notes on my phone. You don't have a phone yet, which is a good thing. I know it's annoying, but it's a good thing.
Yes. Why?
Why? Because you need to be a kid. We'll have that talk over an apple juice later. But, it's a good thing. But I have a notes app in my phone that I keep a list of soundtracks that I've come up with or ones that I've stolen from other people.
Yeah.
So I will flip my problems. I like that. I'm gonna put that down, and I'm gonna give you credit for it.
Yeah, I stole "Winning is Contagious" from Jon too. So, yeah. Number 3 was "Perfectionism will throw you off track."
Yep.
Yeah, don't try to be perfect, all of that. And number 4 was I will scale my goals, because I think I should have fun in my goals, because if it's not fun, then you won't enjoy it.
Right.
So if you want to read a book for fun, then it will be fun because it's your choice. It is fun. But if, let's say, a teacher assigns you that book, then sometimes it won't be the exact fun. So I like to scale my goals 1 from 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. Usually my goals are around 8 or 9, maybe sometimes 7. And if it's below 5 or below, then I will make sure I add a little fun to it.
Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, I have 8 things on this right now. I have 8 numbers.
Oh wow!
But I'm only on number 4 right now, so I'm still looking through a bunch of things I have.
Nice. Well, you've made yours very, very, very well thought out. The one that I've stolen lately and I've been using, but I'll tell you, I haven't said it to myself in the mirror because I haven't gotten over that little negative pocket jury, little devil on my shoulder that says you're going to look silly talking to yourself in a mirror. So I haven't done it yet. That's my negative soundtrack. But one I tell myself is that everything always works out for me.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah.
Yep, that's one I like. Jack, I really, really appreciate you making time to chat with me. I appreciate while you were reading the book, calling me and sharing some of the thoughts that you had, because it's pretty cool when you get to discuss something with somebody else and get different perspectives, and you have some really good ones. And I'm super proud of you because your mom just sent me a picture. You were at the library recently, right? And she said that you went and found the librarian and said, "Hey, I love this author so much. I need another book by him."
I do. In fact, it is Finish, Give Yourself the Gift of Done, Jon Acuff, and it's about finishing your goals. So I'm working on that one.
Good, I like it. I haven't read that one yet. I'll have to get it so we can talk about that one together.
Okay.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, Jack, thank you very much. But I'm going to need your help when as we end this. What do we need to say? How do we end this?
Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and thank you for watching.
Love it. Thank you, Jack.